Just like all of the other topics I've been discussing, there are a lot of things to consider when it comes to recording audio. I could try and break everything down for you, but it could take a long time and I want these videos to be short and concise. So instead, what I'm going to do is break down the signal flow of recording, briefly discuss microphone selection, and then I'm going to share with you the 3 biggest mistakes that I personally made when I first started recording music back in 2013. So signal flow is basically the path that the signal goes from the sound source to recording to monitoring. Basically, what that means is the sound source emits the sound, the microphone picks up that sound and transfers it into an electrical or analog signal. The cable, in this case an XLR cable, transfers that signal into an audio interface, which then changes that signal from an analog signal into a digital one. The digital signal is then sent into the computer or some sort of recording device, which is then recorded onto that device, sent back to the interface, and then sent through some sort of monitoring device, like headphones or speakers or whatever. Okay, so with microphone selection, you basically have 2 options, dynamic and condenser. Dynamic mics are more inexpensive compared to condenser mics. They are more durable and better at picking up sounds that are louder and lower in frequency. Condenser mics are more sensitive and better at picking up higher frequencies, so they're great for guitars, vocals, although you can record vocals on a dynamic mic, which is what I'm doing right now. But it's good to listen to both and try new things, try new mics. Just don't do the same thing every time. The biggest difference between dynamic and condenser mics is the amount of sensitivity that they have. A dynamic mic is a lot less sensitive, so if I stand here, it's not going to pick up very well when I'm over here. But as I get closer, it becomes really good. A condenser mic is more sensitive, so it's going to pick up a lot more of the room sound, and that could be a good or bad thing. If you have a nice, well-treated room, that's okay, it might sound nice, but if you don't have a treated room, you have a noisy recording environment, a dynamic mic is definitely the way to go. There are some microphones that are straight to USB, so you can plug it right into your computer. If you're on a tight budget, a USB mic is probably okay. My first mic was a USB mic, but once you start getting into recording, you may want to upgrade your mic to an XLR output mic and get an audio interface. The more money you spend on your interface, the better converters you'll get, the better preamps, but when you first start out, it's not that big a deal. If you care that much about the sound quality, you may as well go to a professional studio and pay them to record you, but otherwise you're turning into the engineer. So if that's what you want to do, that's great. Do some research, find the preamp that fits your needs, find the interface that has the kind of conversion you want, but for the most part, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Just figure out a way to get your ideas you have in your head onto your computer. As always, I'll link to some more information in the description. So now I will share with you the 3 biggest mistakes that I made when I first started trying to record my own music. The biggest one is recording either too loud or too quiet, and this is all about gain. Basically, what you need to know is, as you record the signal, you don't want to record it too quiet or too loud. If you record it too loud, the signal might sound distorted or just not quite as clear. If you record it too quiet, when you boost your signal later, it's going to also boost all the noise that the microphone recorded. If you're using a dynamic, this won't be as bad, but if you're using a condenser mic, it's going to be super obvious. The most common, I think, was recording too loud for me. I just turned the gain up and didn't really notice that it was clipping. I didn't even know what that meant. Clipping is what happens when your audio signal goes above 0 dBFS, and I'll link to a video explaining what exactly that is. But Basically what you need to know is clipping happens when the signal is too hot and it goes above 0. And as far as gain goes and recording too hot or quiet, where you're positioned relative to the mic plays a huge role in what the sound sounds like. There's a thing called the proximity effect. As you get closer, the microphone is much better at picking up bass frequencies, and as you back up, it's not quite as good. Even if I'm talking louder so that the mic can pick it up, it's not going to sound nearly as low end heavy as when I'm like right up close to it. Mistake number 2 is not recording to a click track or metronome, and also not recording to a scratch track or a rough version of the song. Recording to a click track is pretty much essential if you want something to be in time. If you're recording something funky with multiple tempo changes, even then you should program into your DAW when you want the song to slow down or speed up, because otherwise your tempo could be all over the place, and that's going to save you a lot of time editing in the future. As far as the demo goes, or scratch track, it's a great idea to record the song ahead of time, not worrying about exactly how good the takes are. Recording a rough version of the song gives you the ability to listen to it over and over and try and figure out moments that need to be fixed or enhanced. And it also makes it so when you're recording, you have something to listen to while you're recording so that you're not just recording to nothing. The last mistake that I made almost every time was calling it good after only 1 or 2 takes. It's possible to get it right the first time or second time, but for the most part, it's a better idea to record more than you need, because it's hard to go back and re-record parts and have them sound the same as the day you recorded, because your voice changes, the room might sound different, the mic's probably going to be the same. This helps the song stay more consistent, as well as gives you more to work with in the mixing and editing phase. If you only have 2 takes to work with, and you don't realize that you messed up a word here or there, it's going to be a lot harder to edit later. So keep that in mind when you record. Don't necessarily do as many takes as possible, especially if you're recording with an engineer. You don't want to waste their time, but you don't want to waste your own time either. But at the same time, you don't want to just do one and call it good. You want to make sure that you have the song down pat. Okay? So that's basically it. That's recording. No, there's so much more that goes into it. I'm going to link to some things in the description so that you can think about. There's things like sample rate and bit depth, which are a little complex, so look out for those in the description, because it will definitely help you out as far as getting the most professional and high quality sound possible. Thank you for watching this video on recording. If you liked what you saw, you know what to do. Yeah, I do. I know you know. I'm not even going to tell you. You're just going to do it. Okay, bye.